Sawadee Krap, hello and welcome. Today, I'm very excited because we have what I think, in my opinion, is one of the most important videos that you're ever going to see about the subject of anabolic steroids, performance enhancement, and bodybuilding or physique development. And I know that's a big statement. I understand that's a big statement. Bear with me though, however. This is a incredibly important subject in my opinion, and that is the subject of stepping beyond testosterone, going beyond the obvious, and I'm going to touch on that today. What do we do next? What's the next logical step in the process of planning a steroid cycle? What drugs? When do we use them? How much do we use? That's the subject of today's video. Now I've made a conscious decision to make this video in two parts. A free part, because I want everyone to see this. Right? I want as many people to see this video as possible. It's free. That basically addresses the high-level conceptual discussion of what is beyond testosterone. How do we plan a cycle? How do we put together a strategy for drug use to meet our goals? I just want as many people to see that as possible. And then there's going to be a follow-on video for that I'm going to charge for. And quite bluntly, I'm going to say this. I don't care if I piss people off or not. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to try and reach a certain segment of the entire market. There are millions of guys that use steroids today. Millions of them. Millions and millions of them. And I'm not delusional enough that I'm going to reach all of them. That's not my goal. That's not my intent. I just want to reach a small segment of the population that's interested in learning more about this fascinating subject, about how to get great outcomes and how to do it safely. So after this video, I'm going to post this video. And I'm going to use this video, obviously, as reference at several points, in conversations on the group. If I see guys ignoring this video, quite bluntly, I'm going to start deleting guys from the group. I am. If you can't watch this video and listen to what the message is, and take away from that some profound understanding, then you're not my audience. You're not in my tribe, as it were. And that doesn't bother me at all. I don't care at all if you're not in my tribe. So I'm going to post this. It's free to watch. I'm going to use it in reference in future conversations and groups. And anyone that follows on in those conversations that doesn't adhere to this strategy, I'm going to delete from the group. You'll be blocked. Because I'm not going to reach you. If you watch this and ignore it, and continue on your merry way, that's fine. I wish you all the best in your training and your career in the gym. I really do. I have no bad feelings. I have no bad will. But you're continuing to spread bullshit, in my opinion. You're continuing the lie of steroids. And I don't want you contaminating my tribe. Okay? So today, we're going to talk about a number of things. I do want to recap basically the steroid cycle 1, the first cycle, and then really what this video is about what's beyond that. So what's steroid cycle 2, 3, 4, 5 look like? Okay. So my suggestion for anyone that's basically followed me from the beginning is you watch the Steroids 101 primer. All right, it's kind of like a 30-minute introduction to why we would use steroids. But let me just explain it at a high-level thing is, the reason that we use steroids is for performance enhancement. We don't take steroids to enjoy the side effects they give us, and we don't take steroids so we can spend our money on something. We take steroids so we can get an outcome, okay? And that outcome is improved performance, improved outcomes. That's what we're seeking here. So this is our timeline of training. We start off as a natural, all right? I insist that everybody that I work with, everybody that I guide, everyone I coach, goes through a period of natural training. I don't take on people that have never trained. I refuse to. I refuse to. And as a natural trainer, you should see steroid-like results for a short period of time, the newbie gains phase. There's no reason that you can't, if you're executing nutritional training strategies, recovery strategies, that you can't add a pound of lean tissue to your frame every month, month on month, for at least the first 12, 18 to 24 months, the first couple of years. Everybody should be able to get a 20-pound gain from starting point before they even need to consider steroids, on average. Some guys are going to be 17, some guys are going to be 25, whatever, but on average, I don't like guys coming to me with 5 pounds going, I want to use the drugs, because you haven't tried yet. You haven't started the journey yet. You haven't earned the right yet. All right? This is what happens when you're natural. For the first time frame, you grow like a freaking weed. Yes, I agree. Out here, I'll just clarify this for guys. Out here, there's a period of time when you probably first walk into the gym. We just call this no man's land. You don't have a fucking clue what you're doing. You have no idea what you're doing, and you probably get no results. Everybody does that, and I did that as well. But eventually, you cotton on to some fundamental principles during volume load, progression, eating more than a civilian eats, as it were, and progression begins. We'll call this day one. It may not be the first day in the gym, but there's a point where, you know, it clicks. And you go, okay, now I kind of, it may sound fucking obvious, but now I understand the fundamentals. I need to overload, I need to progress, and I need to eat more than a civilian eats. And you'll start growing, all right? How quickly you grow and how efficiently you grow is a result of both how much of an understanding you have and your genetic response to training and nutrition. Absolutely. So this process might take one man 3 years, all right, and it might take another man 5 years to get here. This is genetic response. Any individual can put muscle on their frame. How quickly it happens and what it looks like when it gets there, that's genetic response. But any individual can grow some lean tissue to begin with. And then inevitably, after a time frame, your progress will begin to slow. It is inevitable. It happens to everybody. You don't keep gaining a pound a month forever. We wish. We wouldn't need drugs if that was true. Okay? And eventually there's a stage past that where the progress becomes so slow. I hope you see this is not a straight line. It's actually very small. The progress is so slow that literally you might be adding a pound of lean tissue to your frame a year. It literally, as a natural trainer, that's how slow it becomes eventually, inevitably. And so it makes sense at that point in time to look at, well, what do I do now? You have two choices. You have a pathway before. You can take the lifetime natural path, and there's nothing wrong with that, or you can take the enhanced path. And there's nothing wrong with that. This is a choice. The choice that everybody makes. I spent 20 years on the natural path before I even thought about going to enhanced. But if someone wants to do that after 5 or 6 years and you've reached out towards your genetic ceiling, no problems. I don't have a problem with that. I spent more time than I probably should have as a natural. I'm glad I did, because I learned more as a natural than I have. I learned more about training and nutrition as a natural than I did as an enhanced athlete. Drugs can mask some very shitty training practices and some very shitty nutrition practices, just like genetics. If you have great genetics, you can get away with really shitty training. And if you have great genetics, you can get away with pretty ordinary nutritional practices. But if you don't have them, you have to get them pretty much right. And I learned a great deal about being a bodybuilder as a natural bodybuilder. And then when I moved to enhanced, it was just a lot easier. I found everything exponentially easier. My point being is, at some point, your progress is going to slow, and you need to make a choice. Do I continue on the natural path? Do I continue on the enhanced path? This video and most of my materials is about the enhanced path. So the thing I want guys to understand, it's at this point in time here where we should be looking at considering the use of steroids, our first cycle. Now, what I want guys to understand here is you have to understand there's a reason that this slowing of progress occurred. There's a reason for it. And so when we look towards the compounds that we're going to use and the doses that you use, the obvious question we need to ask ourselves was, for you personally, what was the reason that your progress slowed? What was the reason? There was something about your training that basically caused your progress to slow. Now that could be you didn't have your nutrition 100%. you didn't have your training 100%, and you didn't have your lifestyle 100%. And it makes sense, it makes rational, logical sense that you address those areas before you start with steroids. Most guys don't do that. Most guys turn to drugs before they fix their nutrition, they fix their training, and they fix their lifestyle practices. So this argument here is saying, when you get to this point of slowed progress, ask yourself the question, why is my progress slowed? Can I improve my nutrition? Yes, then fucking do it. Can I improve my training? Yes, then fucking do it. Can I improve my lifestyle? Yes, then do it. You don't take drugs. Doesn't make any sense to take drugs when there's still room for improvement of nutrition. That's just stupid. When you've got your nutrition on point, when you've got your training on point, when your lifestyle is where it needs to be, then the inclusion of performance enhancing compounds is a fair call, a fair crack. So then what we need to do is basically say, okay, so what's holding me back? Do I need more aggression? Do I need more recovery? Do I need to enhance protein? Nitrogen balance? What is it specifically that I want to improve, that I want to tweak? Do I want to be more aggressive? And that premise is how we choose drugs. What do you want to achieve? What's your goal? Because there are hundreds of compounds that we might choose, but each of these compounds is subtly different. They all fall under the banner of anabolic and androgenic steroids, agreed, but they're all subtly different. They'll do slightly different things. So you don't put a cycle together on the premise that, when I heard that freaking trends ago, that's not how you put a cycle together. You put a cycle together on the premise of what's holding you back. What do you need to unlock further progression? This is what the cycle process is about. And for most people, most of the time, there are exceptions to the rule, always exceptions to the rule. That's what makes something a rule. Most people, most of the time, the logical, rational, intelligent thing to do is to do one thing and one thing only, and that is increase your primary hormone, testosterone. Just incrementally. Don't need to go nuts, right? You're going to have to deal with testosterone anyway at some point. If you progress in this lifestyle, you're going to have to learn to live with testosterone. It's just part of this life. So it makes sense to start with the base hormone where everything else is derived from. Yes, I am the first person to admit if you use large quantities of testosterone, that comes with potential side effects and consequences. 100% agree. You can take 1,000 milligrams of testosterone a week. That's not ideal. Okay, but you're going to have to learn to live with testosterone. So you should learn to live with it from the beginning. Let me give you some reasons why you would start with testosterone. 1, it's the cheapest thing to do. 2, it's the easiest thing to source reliably. People look at SARMs. You don't understand. Testosterone is the easiest, most reliable product to source pretty much in the world. SARMs is the most fake product there is. 50% of SARMs sold as SARMs are not SARMs. 50%. Why would you use testosterone? It's cheap. It's readily available and it's rarely faked. Drugs like primobolan, agreed, they're faked. But testosterone is rarely faked. All right? And most importantly of all, the silver bullet to this argument is there's so much data about the use of testosterone. It's the one drug we have, it's the one drug we have that there's actually really good data on moderate use. Why? Because people have explored its use for other purposes like male contraception. So we kind of have pretty good evidence what 200 to 300 milligrams a week is going to do for you, both in terms of outcomes and side effects. We've got pretty good evidence on that today. You can't say that about many other drugs. Most of the data about other drugs is on-label use, in other words, what they were intended to do. There's not very much data on other drugs. Yes, there's a little on decadrabalin. Yes, there's a little on things like Proviron. But there's not a lot of data. And then when you get to things like Trenbolone, there's fucking nothing. Like nothing. Psalms, very, 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 very hard to find what super physiological doses of these compounds are going to do to you. Do you know? That doesn't mean you don't use them. It means you don't start there when you're beginning, when you have all the questions, when you're like learning. You don't start with the most challenging problem in any domain. You know? You don't go to play golf and learn to hit with your one wood. It's the hardest thing there is to do. So start with testosterone. It's almost impossible to make an argument against testosterone. The one singular argument guys can make against testosterone is significant doses of testosterone come with significant side effects. 100% agree. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. Moderately increase your primary hormone first. Cycle 1. Today's video is about what we do next. Okay. So this is natural. We don't begin till we get there. This is our king of hormones, testosterone. This is success from testosterone and our future. What does our future look like? What our future looks like is understanding what your goals are. Understanding where you as an individual are at with your training. Understanding what you as an individual need for your training to progress. Do you need to be more aggressive? Do you need enhanced recovery? Because these are two different things. Are you looking to build lean tissue? In other words, put on quality muscle? Are you interested in just increasing body weight? Are you interested in increasing just raw strength? Maybe you're a powerlifter and you don't give a rat's ass about hypertrophy. The drugs you choose are premised on the outcomes you desire. And you need to then put together combinations of drugs that work synergistically together towards your goal improvement. You don't just randomly fucking pick drugs. I'm going to use Tren. Why? Because I heard it's good. Okay. It's predominantly androgenic. Predominantly. So, you know, if you're a bodybuilder, you need a certain level of androgens. Agreed. But really our goal here is anabolic. We want to build muscle. Do we need androgens? Sure, it's going to help you train in the gym more aggressively. Absolutely. But more and more and more of that compound isn't necessarily going to contribute a great deal to our goal. We need to then say, okay, so we need a certain amount of androgens and everything that they bring to the table. And testosterone is more than capable of bringing you the androgens you need. And then we need, a focus on anabolics because our goal is creating new lean tissue. So my point in this video is, you get these guys, what's the best cycle? They have no reference to their goal. More importantly, no reference to where they're at. What's holding them back? What's stopping them from progressing, right? And then the layer on top of that is, how much do you need? What do you need to go from here as a natural to here as a trainer? Not very fucking much. Enough to unstick the stuck. Enough to continue to progress for the next 12 months. And if you just basically, put more and more and more in, ultimately you're going to desensitize yourself to these compounds to the degree that you need to use so fucking much to get an outcome that you're going to end up in a problematic situation. You can desensitize yourself to these compounds, absolutely. Here's the rule, the mantra that you should be repeating. What's the minimal possible dose of the mildest possible compound that I can choose to help me on my way, to help me achieve my goals? That's how you select drugs. You don't choose the most aggressive drug because it's there. How much of it do you need? Well, what's your goal? Where are you today? Me, at my age, at 50 years old, next year I'm competing in the over 50s class, I don't need to be any bigger. I'm plenty big enough for my class. I need to focus on quality. So the way that I'm going to put a steroid cycle together is going to be profoundly different from the 25-year-old guy that's just interested in putting as much size as he can on, quickly, or the power lifter that wants to be as strong as he can with minimal weight gain, or the guy that's like a strong man, right, who basically, doesn't have a weight class necessarily to compete with. He just wants to be as big as strong as possible. These are all different things with all different needs, and therefore all different potential discussions about how we plan a cycle. It's not just trend. It's like a fucking epidemic today. I'm sick of it. Like, it annoys me because it's predominantly androgenic. There's nothing wrong with that if that's what you need. I have no problem with that. If that's what you need, then you need it. But using it just because you think it's good is a like profoundly stupid fucking thing to do. Let me explain to you this idea of risk, right? Everybody who's honest will say, look, there are times in our career, there are times in our training process that we take more drugs than we probably should, and we tend to sort of like dabble with the harsher compounds. It's absolutely true. Absolutely true. Is that true for me? Yep. This is what my year looks like. I have an off-cycle season where I take basically nothing to clear out. Not very long, but every year I take a complete break. I have an improvement season where I just want slow, steady, quality gains. I'm not interested in 20 pounds of water weight. Okay? There's a period of time which I need to basically bridge from my improvement season to the beginning of my competition season, then my competition season. This entire time frame, I use a certain different compounds at different times. And each time I select these compounds, it's premised on what my goal is. And there's a time leading just into show day. Let's call this 2 months. All right. Well, unashamedly, I raise my risk profile. I use compounds that are riskier. I raise my doses. I use things that are toxic. I use, this whole time I don't touch any orals at all, with the exception of Proviron. Proviron is not hepatotoxic. This time frame here, yeah, the orals have their place, but I want to limit my exposure to them because I want to do it next year and the next year and the next year and the next year. I'm not thinking about 1 year. I'm thinking about 20 years from now. What's the minimum compound I can do with the smallest possible risk to get to my goal? I'm honest. You want to stand on the stage today and be a competitor and be competitive, you have to expose yourself to these compounds at some point to some degree. You just do. But you need to limit your exposure to them, to the greatest degree possible. And how we do that as competitors, if you're interested in competing, is you use them leading into show day. Now, what a lot of guys don't understand is they'll say things like, well, this compound's for bulking or this compound's for cutting. That's just stupid. It's a stupid thing to say. Anadrol is the classic example. What does Anadrol do? It's effectively, you can classify in many different ways, but one of the things basically it's very good at is it's a volumizer. It's a volumizer. The consequence of strength gains and things like that are directly connected here to volume. So, but people talk about using, Anadrol in the off season as a bulking drug. When I use Anadrol? Right before show season, because I'm lean as crap. I don't have to worry about bloat. Potentially, you're going to use water management tools like diuretics to help you manage holding water. Okay, your diet is crisp and clean, and you're not holding any body fat. The introduction of Anadrol at this point in the cycle is going to dramatically improve your visual impact. It will make you look bigger and fuller. What are you going to do here in the off season with Anadrol? You can only take the thing for a limited time frame. So you're going to grow enough in 30 days to justify its use? Most guys, when they put steroid cycles together, don't turn their fucking brains on. They copy and paste what someone else told them. All right? The reality is, the truth is, this is a steroid skeleton, by the way, if anyone's wondering what this is. All steroids have this skeleton. And they have components that basically come off of this chemical structure. when you're planning a cycle, you plan a cycle on looking at all the compounds that are available to you, understanding what they do, understanding their risk profile, understanding how long you can use them, what they bring to the table, the good, the bad, the ugly, and you then create a cycle premised on who you are, what your needs are, right, and what you need to help you achieve those goals. That's how you plan a cycle, okay? So in part 2 of this video, I'm going to get into a little bit more detail about what I use, when I use it, and why I use it. And I would encourage everyone to watch that video. Now, what I said at the beginning, I'm getting to the point with the free content where I'm going to start getting rid of guys out of the group, okay? Because if you watch this video and you go back to that old mindset of saying, just fucking trend, I don't fucking want you contaminating my audience. You're gone. See you later. I don't give a fuck. Go. Fuck off. All right? When I say you should start first cycle with testosterone, it's a well thought out, rational, logical, thing. I have no vested interest beyond your health and safety. All right? So you have guys coming up first cycle. I want you to use 3 compounds in first cycle. You're fucking gone. You're out of the group. All right? You can think that. I don't mind you thinking that. Shut the fuck up or get the fuck out. All right? Educate yourself or get the fuck out of my group. All right? The reason I ask guys to follow this thing is I'm trying to help people. I'm trying to educate them. I'm trying to give them advice. I'm trying to help them be safe. All right? And I don't need fucking nut jobs coming along behind me, following on from the content I create, feeding back in the old advice, feeding back in the old fucking dogma, feeding back in the old ideas. It doesn't achieve anything. You're just contaminating the fucking space. Get the fuck out. Okay? If you're interested in the next part of this, what I teach my clients to take, what I advise them to take, when I take it, when and why and how much, that's video 2, the part follow-up. To see that, you're going to have to be part of the masterclass. Now, the masterclass is $5 a week. I make no apologies for that. All right? I put a great deal of time and energy into this group trying to educate people, and at some point, the bill comes due. If you're learning from this, if you're progressing from this, the fact that you should contribute something financially to this, I think is eminently fair. Very, very, very fair. So the masterclass is $5 a week. If you pay for a year up front, I'll give you a year free, which makes it $2.50 a week. If you want one-on-one, great. I'm happy to do one-on-one. I charge $50 an hour for one-on-one. If you want ongoing coaching, I can help you with ongoing coaching where we spend some time together every week helping you get towards your goals. Either way. So that's today's video. Beyond testosterone, what happens next? I hope you found that content educational and informative. And I look forward to seeing you at part 2 of this video where we start to talk about actual compounds. When do we use them? How much do we use and why? Thank you for your time. Sawadee ka.